All right, welcome to Talking Investing. I'm Tom, and as always, this is not financial advice. Today, I want to talk about a company that I have never talked about on this channel. And as a Bitcoin and Bitcoin miner channel, it's a surprise that we have actually never done a video on this company. The company is MicroStrategy. The stock ticker is MSTR. This is Michael Saylor. This is obviously a very famous company. They hold the most Bitcoin on their balance sheet of any publicly traded company. And to some extent, Michael Saylor has almost become the face of Bitcoins. They hit the news today for doing something they've never done before. So I wanted to take a minute, talk about what that is, and then go through the company a little bit and go through their financial statements. So if you're new to the channel or if you haven't subscribed yet, please remember to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. Also, you can join the channel by hitting the join button on the YouTube page. So that's right next to the subscribe button. Members get some members only content. We also do a once a week members only live stream every Tuesday after the market closes. And lastly, on that live stream, the members get to pick a stock for me to do a deep dive on for the members only. So we have a lot of fun there. You're welcome to join us. Let's talk about MicroStrategy. Okay, the trading day is just ending as we speak. So these look like the final numbers for the day on MicroStrategy. MicroStrategy was actually down 1% today. So this was pretty much an across the board green day throughout the entire market. All the indexes were up. So at $136.63, this leaves them with a $1.54 billion market cap. Okay, so if I go to a chart of their market cap over the last few years, you'll see this peaked in February of 2021. That's when Bitcoin was on a big run. That's when small cap high growth stocks were on a big run. This got up to $9.98 billion, so just a hair under $10 billion company. So it has gone from that to a $1.5 billion company. So that's a dramatic decrease in their market price. Their stock is down even more than that because they've done some dilution. So I believe they've officially joined the 90% club. Their stock was down at the lows over the last 48 hours, over 90% from their high. Okay, so I'm just going to go through a few articles and talk about what they did today and why they hit the news and maybe why they had a little bit of a red day today. MicroStrategy hits lowest since 2020 after revealing Bitcoin sale. So they put out a tweet today. Michael Saylor put out a tweet, and I'm going to go to a different article and show you that tweet. And he basically disclosed that they sold some Bitcoin today. So they have not done that before. So we'll talk about what he did and why he did it and whether it's a big deal or not. Okay, so you can see this is a Bloomberg article. It says MicroStrategy shares touched the lowest level since 2020 after the enterprise software firm, better known in recent years as the largest corporate buyer of Bitcoin, disclosed its first ever sale of the token. Okay, so I'm going to switch to another article because this gives it a little bit of a different perspective. This is how MarketWatch chose to phrase their headline. MicroStrategy says it bought 2,500 Bitcoin, but also sold some for tax reasons. So you're going to see they were actually a net buyer big time in this quarter of Bitcoin, but they did sell some. So that is a first. So there's a little bit of a shockwave that's sending through. So let's go through and take a look at the tweet. First of all, the company has spent more than $55 million buying Bitcoin in the past 2 months. So they continue to buy Bitcoin. They have over 132,000 Bitcoin on their balance sheet. So you're going to see what we're talking about here. Their activity over the last few months is fairly small. Okay, MicroStrategy has spent over $55 million to purchase roughly 2,500 Bitcoin over the past 2 months. The company revealed in a Wednesday filing where it also disclosed selling some of its Bitcoin stash for the first time to accrue a tax benefit. So this was for tax purposes, and we'll look at that a little bit more. The latest round of buying has lowered the firm's average price per coin to $30,397. It has spent just over $4 billion buying Bitcoin since the summer of 2020. Chairman Michael Saylor also broke the news of the purchases in a tweet. So this was on Twitter. MicroStrategy has increased its hashtag Bitcoin holdings by approximately 2,500 as of 12/27/22. At MicroStrategy holds 132,500 in Bitcoin, acquired for approximately $4.03 billion at an average cost of $30,397. MicroStrategy announced the purchase in 2 chunks, including 2,395 coins purchased between November 1st and December 21st, and another approximately 810 coins purchased on December 24th. The coins purchased on Christmas Eve were bought at an average price per coin of about $1,000 lower than the previous batch. Okay, so a couple paragraphs down, it says, the company sold 704 Bitcoin for $11.8 million at an average price of approximately $16,776 per Bitcoin, according to the filing. That's a loss of nearly 50% when compared to its average purchase price of just over $30,000 per coin. So we're only talking about 704 coins here. And like Michael Saylor said in his tweet, they hold 132,500 coins. So this is a very, very small percentage, but it is a first for them. You know, they've talked about never selling their Bitcoin. Obviously, never doesn't make any sense, but they are a Bitcoin hodler big time. Michael Saylor is the face of hodling Bitcoin. So this first little sale represents a bit of a change, but it's really more of a tax strategy. So after they sold the 704 coins, they went out and bought another 810 coins. So altogether, they added a lot of coins in the fourth quarter. Okay, then interestingly, in the Bloomberg article, it says investors seem to be concerned about the announcement that there's still a net buyer of crypto. So it sounds like the shockwave here was from selling Bitcoin for the very first time, but actually, according to Matt Malek, chief market strategist for Miller, Tabak and Company, most people had been hoping that MicroStrategy might scale back their holdings after Michael Saylor stepped down as CEO. This news means they don't seem to want to do that anytime soon. So it looks like the stock was not a little bit in the red today because they sold. According to this analyst, he thinks that actually they should have sold more and people were hoping and looking for them to be a net seller. So I'm not exactly sure about that. I think people are very split on this. The only reason they even hold MicroStrategy is as a proxy on Bitcoin. So I'm just not sure. That may be this individual's opinion. I don't necessarily agree with that. I think that retail investors hold this as a proxy for Bitcoin. To me, that's where all of its value is. It's a $1.5 billion market cap company. But you can see, I'm going to go back to their market cap over the last few years. Back in the summer of 2020, before they started buying Bitcoin, this was a $1 billion market cap company. So all the increase in the value of this company has been since they started trading Bitcoin. Now, they've pulled back 90%. They're practically all the way back around where they started. However, I want to look at their balance sheet because their income statement is in a much, much worse position than it was when they started. So this is the conundrum with MicroStrategy. And I get asked all the time, do you think MicroStrategy is a better play than buying Bitcoin directly? Do you think MicroStrategy is a better play than buying the Bitcoin miners? So obviously this is not financial advice. I don't have the answer to that question, but I will say that all three things I think represent a different type of risk as it pertains to Bitcoin. Obviously, they're all a function of Bitcoin, but in different ways. I'm going to go to MicroStrategy's third quarter balance sheet and show you what I'm talking about. Okay, so if we look on their balance sheet, you're going to see that they have total assets of $2.5 billion, but they have total liabilities of $2.7 billion. So they now have more liabilities than they did assets. And if we look at their December 31st, 2021, you're going to see that used to be $3.5 billion in assets and $2.5 billion in liabilities. So whereas they used to be a net plus $1 billion, they're now a net minus $200 million when you compare their assets to their liabilities. And that is completely due to the fact that the price of Bitcoin has pulled back drastically. So you're going to see digital assets, they were worth $1.993 billion. That is down from $2.85 billion, even though they've added a lot of Bitcoin over the course of the year. So the pullback in the price of Bitcoin is reducing this asset on the balance sheet, and it's creating a situation where actually, if you look at this company right now, they go from having almost $1 billion in equity, they are now negative equity. So against this $1.993 billion in Bitcoin, they have loans of $2.376 billion. So they are now upside down on their loans. So you know, we need to take a closer look because at first glance, this seems like maybe this is a big problem, but I don't really think that it's a big problem. I'm not saying it's no problem. It's definitely an issue. And this is where your risk reward comes in when looking at MicroStrategy. Essentially, it's all about what you think Bitcoin's going to do on a going forward basis, right? If Bitcoin were to double tomorrow, then this 1.99 billion, basically this $2 billion in Bitcoin would be $4 billion. And in that case, they would have a massive amount of equity in this company. However, if that does not happen, if Bitcoin goes sideways for some extended period of time, then obviously they remain in a negative equity situation here. Now, the good news is I'm going to go look at their debt. Okay, footnote 4, long-term debt. So this is a summary of their debt. So what I wanted to show is debt due in 2022, 0. Debt due in 2023, 0. Debt due in 2024, 0. Now, in 2025, which is a full year after the halving event for Bitcoin, they start to have some debt due. They have convertible notes due of $640 million and a secured term loan of $204 million due in 2025. In 2026, no debt due. In 2027, they have about $1 billion. And then in 2028, they have almost $500 million of debt due. So their debt is structured basically to be paid off between 2025 and 2028, which means they have that much time for Bitcoin to catch up. Right now, Bitcoin's trading at around $16,600. So at that price, the debt is more than the worth of the Bitcoin. But for instance, if Bitcoin were to double to just $32,000, then the Bitcoin would be worth significantly more than the debt. And if the Bitcoin were to go up to like $100,000, and remember, we're talking about 2025, 2026, 2027, so we're talking many years down the road, then this could leave them potentially with $10 billion of stockholders' equity. The other good thing about this debt is you're going to see for the 3 months ended September 30th, 2022, their total interest expense was $14 million. That's on $2.3 billion in debt. So the interest rate is very, very, very low. Some of these notes actually have no interest due, no regular interest. One of their notes was at 0.75%, so it's very, very little interest. So they're not going to get run over by the interest because it's a very small amount, $14 million. They're not going to get run over by the principal because in 2022 and 2023 and 2024, there is no principal due at all. So they have done this right. They've structured this in the proper way. They've made a bet on Bitcoin. So the question is, are you a Bitcoin believer or not? This is MicroStrategy's chart on the 1 week time frame. I've zoomed way out here so you can really get a sense of the ride this stock has taken over the last 2.5 years. So you'll see, dating all the way back to 2017, 18, 19, 20, this was about a $150 stock. It sat there for many years. Then they entered the fray in Bitcoin. So at its peak in February of 2021, this stock traded at $1,315. That was its all-time high. So from there until where it's trading today, so that's down about 89.8%. Essentially, at $131, they would be down 90% from their highs back in February of 2021. So this stock, much like the Bitcoin miners, has had a total collapse. So it really has traded very similarly to the Bitcoin miners. However, it is a different equation than the Bitcoin miners. So you need to understand the risk reward on MicroStrategy. It's its own unique thing. This is a proxy play on Bitcoin. They've leveraged themselves by $2.3 billion to do so. So I don't know where this stock goes from here. I suspect that this will continue to follow along similarly to the Bitcoin miners. That's what it has done for some time now. So for the time being, to me, this looks very much like a Bitcoin mining company, although it is not. So it's important to understand the differences. It's important to do your due diligence on this one. Here's another stock that we're looking at that's down basically 90% from its highs from 2021. So it seems like everywhere we turn is one of these down 90% stocks. That's our first ever video on MicroStrategy. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.